Good day, dear all. I'm Venera Akdonova, an English teacher of NIS Uralsk. Today I would like to present to you my lesson, which was held in the 9th grade on the unit Charities and Conflict. The lesson was planned for 40 minutes. The focus skill of the lesson was speaking. And the key learning objective of the lesson was to link commands with growing flexibility to what others say at sentence and at discourse level. So it means that as a teacher, I would like my students to learn how to give constructive peer feedback to each other. There are some subsidiary learning objectives in my lesson, so they are practicing listening skills for main points and using talk as a means of reflecting on and exploring a range of perspectives on the world. So students try to reflect on the topic of poverty. So you know that poverty is one of the conflicts in the world. The lesson consists of mainly four big parts. They are leading, pre-speaking stage, speaking stage, and a reflection. So in order to raise my students' interest to the lesson and get them to come to the lesson's topic by themselves, I used an activity which is called a CAF dictation. So now please let me explain very shortly how to do this activity. So teacher tells the students that he or she has a cough, but he or she is still going to do a dictation in order to start the lesson. Then the teacher reads out the statement. In my case, I read out the short definition of the term poverty. What is poverty? So it sounds like that. Poverty is not having enough money to meet basic needs, including food, clothing, and the shelter. Poverty is hunger. Poverty is lack of shelter. But the teacher reads out the statement as usual, but he or she doesn't read all the words, and he coughs instead of reading some words. In my case, I have missed the word poverty. After writing the dictation, students in pairs should guess what missing words are. And in my lesson, my students, they have guessed the topic of the lesson. They were very closely, they were able to explain what the missing word was, but they didn't know the specific word poverty. So now I would like you to watch this stage of my lesson in a short video clip. Okay, so today unfortunately I have a cough, but I'm still going to do a dictation in order to start our lesson. So I'm sorry beforehand if you miss some words and you cannot hear them, but you have to guess the missing words. Okay? Is that clear? Please open your copybooks, take your pens, and write down. Is not having enough money, is not having enough money to meet basic needs, including clothing and shelter. Full stop. Next sentence. Is hunger. Full stop. And the A lack of shelter. A lack of shelter. Full stop. Have you written? Yes. Okay, now, please, with your neighbor in pairs, discuss the missing words and try to guess them.
Including food, clothing and shelter. Being poor is hunger. Being poor is lack of shelter.
Okay, in your opinion, the missing word is being poor, yeah? But it consists of two words. We need only one word. Any other ideas? Thank you again. Being poor. Do you agree with?
Yes.
Yeah, the meaning is very close. But can you replace these two words, this phrase, with one word? Poorness. So, in my opinion, you have understood, yeah, that you need the noun of the adjective poor. So this is poverty. Adjective poor. Please write down in your copybooks. This is our today's lesson's topic. Today we'll speak about poverty. So, in my opinion, as a teacher, I have achieved my aims in this part of leading, and I was able to raise my students' interest to the topic of the lesson. After that, I held the second part of the leading. I provided some questions for discussion to the students. These questions were about the causes of poverty, about the consequences of poverty, and about the situation related to poverty in Kazakhstan. So the students discussed these questions and gave their ideas. Then I moved to the next part of the lesson. It was pre-speaking stage. In the pre-speaking stage, I provided my students a short clip about the poverty in the world. This clip provides general information about the issue of poverty in the world and provided some statistical data. And the main thing that I wanted to highlight that this clip contains information about one of the solutions to this issue. This is the project which is called the Mary's Meals. After watching the clip, I got my students to pay attention to this project, and they discussed about this project. I asked them what they think. Might it be the most effective solution? Might it help to solve the problem of poverty in the world? After pre-speaking stage, I moved to the speaking stage and asked my students to work in groups, in several groups of 3 or 4 students, and in groups they should have discussed about the issue of poverty and their solutions, and try to come up with the most effective solution, and justify their choices, why they think that their solution might be the most effective solution. Before beginning the group work, I have introduced assessment criteria, because as a teacher I wanted to assess the key learning objective this was about giving constructive peer feedback, I remind you. And the assessment criteria was to give constructive peer feedback to what others say. After giving some time for preparation and the discussion in group, the groups presented their ideas and their solutions and tried to justify their choices. After listening to each other, each student should have gave comments or peer feedback to the solutions of one group and try to answer the questions. Do they agree with the solutions of their peers or not? Why not? So now I want you to watch one presentation of one group in the next short video clip.
Okay, we have discussed about Mary's Meals project, yeah? This is one of the solutions to the issue of poverty. Now, I'd like you to work in groups, in 3 groups, and try to come up with your own solution to the issue of poverty in the world, which you think is the most effective one. So in groups, please discuss what kind of solution, which solution can be the most effective one to the issue of poverty. And try to justify your choice. Why do you think so? Yeah? Try to work out very solid arguments. 1 or 2 arguments. Why do you think so? Then, after discussing, you present your choices. While one group is presenting, the listeners, you should be prepared to give peer feedback to what others say. So while one group is presenting their solution, the others, you should be prepared to give peer feedback. In your feedback, try to give your own opinion towards your peer's solution. Do you agree with this solution or not? Why? Why not? Is that clear? Yeah. Okay, you have some time to get prepared. Please discuss the groups. Okay, time is up. So let's start with group number 1. Again, Dilnaz Qadrbek, are you ready to present your solution? Please come up to the board, place your peers, and share your solution. What is your idea? Listeners, please be ready to give peer feedback.
We choose to increase education level and to education more available. And we think that today's date, education is only one way to avoid the poverty in our world. That's why we should increase education level. Education gives more opportunity to the people and they had more chance to avoid poverty.
And we think that education provides the main factors of life like health and economy of country. Because, for example, if people who are educated, they are more smart, they are smarter, and they are more clever. So people who are educated, they know what they should do and what they shouldn't do. So their health will be better. And secondly, I think that education also creates people who are ready for workforce. And if people are working, the country doesn't have any unemployment.
And concluding all this, we can say that avoid poverty and to win this issue. To win this issue, we using education, and the education not only helping to win poverty, it helps us to be more clever and to save not the soul of our nation. It helps us to save ourselves too.
Okay, nice. Thank you very much. So, our group number 1 solution is related to education matters. Yeah, they think that if we increase the level of education in the country, so it can contribute to solve the issue of poverty. And they explain the consequences. Yeah, why they think so? What do you think? Do you agree or not? Why not? Camila, please.
Of course, we agree with the solution because if education on high level, it means you have future with a good work, and if you have a work, it means you will have money, and poverty will disappear if people will have money.
So education can lead to employment. Employment, it means there is money, yeah? Enough money. This is Camila's argument. Thank you. What do you think?
It's generally accepted that if you have good education, you will have a future. However, I totally disagree with this opinion because, in my point of view, it depends on your will to working. Thus, I think that it is not most effective way to solve this problem.
So it means you think that being uneducated, you can also have bright future, you can have job, yeah?
Yes.
It doesn't depend on your education, yeah?
Yes.
Do you have higher education or not? It doesn't depend on this.
Yes, it depends on our will.
Okay, nice, thank you very much. Any other volunteers to give your comments, your opinions? Okay, thank you very much. Please take your seats.
So in this way, all the groups presented their ideas and their choices and they tried to justify them, and all the students individually gave comments to peers and expressed their agreements or disagreements. In the last stage of the lesson, in the reflection stage, each student gave their conclusion, which they make from the lesson in one statement. So what conclusion have they come after the lesson about the issue, about the lesson overall? Thank you for your attention.